Hello friends. I still plan to make a few more videos in my Ubuntu series for logs management, storage management, and couple of others. But today I'm starting a new series of videos, which is Unix tips and tricks. So all these tips and tricks I have learned with experience as a Unix admin so far. So I'll be sharing my experience and my learnings with you through these videos, and these tips and tricks are very useful, and I have seen admins and people who have been working as Unix admin for years and they are still not aware of these tips and tricks and they're not using it. So some of these are like those of tricks. So I hope this would be helpful to you. So let's start with our first video. So in this video, I would be showing you the tips and tricks for Putty, the common client which is widely used to log into the servers, I mean Unix servers. So I'd be sharing what you can tweak and what you can do on Putty to make your work easier. Okay, so let's start with. So this is my Putty client. So I'll go with all these options, or I'd say some of the options which I have been using in my experience. But the first one which I want to share with you is creating a key and making it work as passwordless authentication from Putty to the server. Okay, so let's start with that. So for that you would need a Putty keygen client. So the same place from where you downloaded Putty, you can just do on Google Putty, and then you will find the puttygen client at the same place. So what is puttygen? It creates a keys for Putty. So let's open it, what it does, and let's see. So it says generate and load. Okay, so if you have a private key pair, you can load it to get the private key and the public key from here. And if you want to create a new pair of keys, you can generate it. And if at the bottom you would see it has the various methods used for keys like RSA, DSA, ECDSA, and SSH simple one, which is not so much used now. So ECDSA is pretty common nowadays. So we'll still go by the default with the RSA. So let's create a key. So again, this bits also matters. So earlier it used to be 1024 bits, now it is 2048 bits. So the number of bits more is more encryption of your keys. Okay, so that is how bits work. So we'll leave that as 2048 and we'll generate a new key. So let's generate it. So we'll just do here like it says, do anything in the blank area, and now the key is generated, right? So for Putty to work on the server, this is what we need. I mean, this key, if you see here, it says public key for pasting into OpenSSH authorized keys. So we will be using authorized keys. So this is the key which we need. Okay, so we'll just copy it, or we'll keep it here as is. And what we'll do, we'll save the private key. So let's save the private key. It is asking for a passphrase. So if you want to use a password and passphrase, you can give it here in key passphrase. So I'm not using a passphrase. I'll just hit yes and I'll save it here. So this is my private key, so I'm giving it private. Okay, so it will be saved as ppk file. Save. I'll keep this open so that we can pull the authorized keys when we need. So I have to log in to my Ubuntu 02 server and then update my authorized keys, right? So I'll just log in here. So if you see here now, it is asking for user one and my password, right? So our aim is that it does not ask for the password, and I'll also show you that it does not even ask for the user. Okay, so let's start with the password first. Okay, we are logged in now. So the key, where it goes, you can check that from here. So if you do this, uh, authorized in etc ssh, if you would have seen one of my videos earlier where I was explaining the access management and I was explaining this config file, this is the file which is used when you log in from a client to the server, right? So if you see here, it says that authorized keys file, by default it goes to .ssh authorized keys even if it is hashed out, right? So if you want to change this path to somewhere else, you can do so, right? But for now, this is the path. So I'm in the home directory of user1. So what we need to do, we need to create a directory as .ssh. So if we see here, .ssh, does it exist? No, not yet, right? So we'll just create the directory mkdir.ssh, and if we see now, it is created. Oops, um, here, but the permission is 775, which we don't want to keep for the .ssh directory. So we will change this as 750. Okay, so we don't want this .ssh directory to be read by anyone. You can even change it to 700. That doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll keep it 750. We don't want others or everyone to go into that directory. Okay, and then we have to create a file .authorized keys in .ssh directory. So if we do this and we do uh, just copy this authorized keys and we create a file, and here we need to copy this what we have here, right? So it all goes as a single line. So this file can be used for multiple authorized keys. Okay, so if you have multiple authorized keys, you can just keep appending as one line, and you can keep your all keys together in authorized keys. And the permission for this file too is something which we got to change. So if right now we see what it is 664, right? So we have to change this to 600. So we'll just change it 600 and this, so that no one other than you is able to write or read this file. Okay, so this is your uh, file where you would keep your public keys, right? Okay, now when we have placed our public keys, we should be able to log into this server without a password when we use the ppk file. So let's try that again. So let's log off here. Let's load this Ubuntu 02 and let's go to SSH and go to the auth and browse for the key here. Okay, and then just go to the session and save it. Okay, and now just double click it and let's see what happens. See, it didn't ask for the password, rather it is saying authenticating with public key RSA key 2020-607. So the key which we just created, if you see here the name RSA key 2020-0607, that is the name for that specific key. So it is authenticating with that key. That's what it is saying, right? Now we don't need this Putty key generator, so we can just close it off. Okay, see, we are logged in without giving any password with our private and public key combination. Now let me log off from here and let me show you how would you configure the user. So let's load it again. And if we go to the SSH, our key should be saved because we saved the session, right? And now if you go to the SSH, not the SSH, sorry. If you go to auto data, there is a data where it says auto login user name. Okay, data to send to the server. So here I will give user1 and I'll just save it again. Okay, now let's double click again. See, it didn't even ask for the for the username. It is saying using username user1. Right. So now I have made my putty to log into the server with my ID, which generally happens. Users always use, or the admins always use their ID to log in. And I have given the key, which is being used, so I don't have to put in a single word to log into my server, right? So that is how you would achieve it. Okay, so now when we are logged into this and we have seen how to configure the passwordless authentication, even the configure the user into Putty to automatically use that account. Let's move on to the other settings of Putty which I have been using and I would like to share, right? So let's see here itself. So there, if you see from the top, when you right click, there are some settings. So one of the common one which I use, copy all to clipboard. So I have been seeing people to do this all the time, and when this is a long file or long screen, people keep doing this, scrolling up and up and up and up, right? That's not what you need to do. You can simply do this copy all to clipboard and you can just copy it anywhere. Okay, so that's how it works. So let's see if it works. So if I go to the notepad and just do this, see, it is copied, right? So when it is a long screen, you don't need to select and scroll up. You just can copy and paste, copy all to clipboard, right? That is something which I would like to share. I wanted to share. And if we go here, duplicate session we already saw multiple times. New session is common, and the event log, yes. So this is what you would see when you are troubleshooting a login issue or something like that. So if you see here, what it is saying, that it is trying to log into this IP on port 22, which is a SSH port, right? And this is the client version, and this is what the OS version is, right, on the server side. Okay, and then if we see here, it says the uh, CAX algorithm, I means key exchange algorithm, which it is going to use, right? So that is what it is. And then if you see here, it is saying that I'm going to use SSH RSA, and this is the key, right? And after that, if you see here, it is reading the private key from the putty which we configured, and our server, I mean Ubuntu 02, offered the public key which we configured in authorized keys, right? And then finally access was granted to us, so session was opened, and the shell command was opened. So this is event log for login until you get the prompt. Okay, so this is used when you are troubleshooting the login issues, right? Okay, another thing from here we can see is change settings. So this change settings will open up putty settings itself, like here, but with a few less options, right? Which we see here in normal putty if I open, right? So if you see here, there are a few more options. Otherwise, it is almost the same. Okay, so let's see from here itself first. So let's go to the logging. So here what it says, session logging. So session logging has four options. By default it goes by none. So if you want to log in, create a file with all your data, whatever you are doing on the server, you can use this option. So let's see what does printable output does. So let's see. Okay, it's creating at the same location. So let me put this name, putty underscore log. So and let's apply it. So let's see what happens. So let me do what, just ls, simple, where I am. Okay, so this is what it is. And now let's go to that path and see what does putty underscore log shows us, right? Let me open this with notepad. Okay, so if you see here, it says whatever we did on the server, right? This is what we did. Now if we go there again and change settings and go to the logging, and if we do all session output, now okay, here it is asking if you want to override it, if you want to append it. So if we want to append it, we have to hit no. So let's hit no. We just want to append it so that we can compare it. And let's run the same commands again. So ls and pwd. Okay, and now let's close this and reopen this file. Okay, so what has happened? So it has added a few more details here. Like if you see, it is showing something like this, and the user 1 Ubuntu 02. So it has added few more information like prompt and users in front of what it was already capturing, correct? So that is all it is going to do, apart from the printable output when you do all, right? Okay, so there was two other options, so let's see those. If we do change settings again and we go to the logging and we do SSH packets, so this is something similar to, we will hit again no, this is something similar to what we do in the TCP dump. So we, if when we want to capture the packets, the network packets, we will enable this logging. So ls and pwd is not something which will show the packets. So let's do this. Let's ping Ubuntu 01. It's not pinging, it's not known, right? So let's do this and let's do this. Is it pinging? No, because the server is down. I have not brought it up. And let's ping google.com. So it is pinging. And now let's go back and see what has been logged into our putty underscore log file. So if we see here, it is showing me all the data for the network packets, right? So everything is captured. Whatever I try to do, like ping, it has captured all that data here as SSH packets in this file, right? Okay, let's go back to the last option. So change settings, loggings, and SSH packets and raw data. So again, like we saw with printable output and all session output, similarly SSH packets was kind of a crisp data for the network packets, and when you are looking for the raw data, it is more data for the packets. So let's hit no again and do the same thing here. Let's do just ping to this IP and let's do this. Okay, and let's go back to this file. Okay, so if we go back down further from here, so if we see here, there is some more data which is coming in for the packets, like incoming raw data, incoming packet, and outgoing raw data. Here if you see, it was nowhere mentioned raw data, it was all incoming and outgoing packets, right? So this raw data is what, something which is added when you do with the raw data. Again, all this network stats is something which is generally troubleshooted by network teams or network experts. But if you have like TCP dump, if you want to read from TCP dump, you can read that, or if you have Wireshark, you can read from there all this data or the TCP dump data like you do, right? So this is what it is from Putty, what you can um, do the logging. Okay, now let's move on to terminal bell. Okay, so this bell, what it is, I'll show you. So just cancel it first here, and I'm here, and if I had tab, okay, and if I want to do something like, see this tab sound, tin tin tin. So all this tin 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 sound is that bell, and this becomes very annoying at times when you are having headphones on, you're on a call and you're working on some server where you are mistakenly typing something or hitting tab on a non-existing path, and this noise is coming all together, right? So if you want to disable that, you can just go to the bell and you can say none. Okay, bell disabled. And now if we go apply here and we hit tab, how many times, nothing happens. We do whatever typing, mistyping, no bell sound, right? So that annoyance is gone, right? Okay, now let's go and see the next setting in Putty session. So we saw the bell. Now if we go to the windows, here we have columns and rows. So by default, when you open a Putty session, it opens for a size, right? So if you want to expand that size, that is what you would change, right? So if I do this, uh, and if I just change it to 120, and if I just change this to suppose 40, okay, and let's see what happens. Let's go back to the session and I'll give the IP of my server, which is uh, which is 16, right? And let's try to open it. So see, my window is larger than it normally opens, right? Okay, let's close it and let's go back to the putty session. So if you see just below, it says change the number of rows and columns, change the size and font, and change the font size when maximized, and forward the resize completely, right? So if you just do this from the existing session, let's see what happens. So if I do this window and I do this change the size of the font. So if I try to expand this, what happens? The font of the screen is increasing, right? Not that the page itself is increasing. So that's what the difference is. So suppose you are on a screen sharing session, normally it happens very commonly that the person on the other side is not able to see it because the font size is very small. So you can just use that simple setting to make it bigger when you are maximizing it, right? So I'll leave it to default. And then this lines of scroll back, so this is the lines you can scroll up to on your server. So by default it is 2000 lines, right? So if you want to expand it, you can do it whatever you want. So normally I keep it higher because I want to see whatever I did on my server. So if it is very small, suppose just to explain, I change it to 200. Okay, so now if I do something like, suppose let me open a big file, try to ssh dconfig. Okay, let's reopen. Okay, so I reopen it a few times so that my scrolling is more than 2000 lines. So if you go up, you would not see whatever I had typed above that. So whatever we were doing is now not visible to us, right? So that's what scrolling means. So if I change that to a higher number, we can further see it. So if I do something like this, and if I do it again, the same thing. Okay, if you see here, you will still see that our previous command which we run, which we ran earlier, it is still showing from that same line, right? So that so all that whatever I did earlier is still visible. Okay, so that's what that setting means. Let's go back to the change settings and see what else. Okay, not here. Go to the appearance. So here is another thing which you want to change. If you want to change the font, okay, so if you want to use another font, you can do bold, italic, whatever you want to do. Like if I suppose, just for example, want to do Courier bold and the 15 size, and I apply it, see it changed. So this is again a setting which is commonly used when you are sharing a screen, right? So let's go back and go to the appearance. So we saw this, right? Now let's go back to this. So this is the title. So if you see the title here it is the same thing, right? So if you want to have a separate title, you can just add the title too. So if I just want to give it something like test server and apply it, so it will show me test server at the top here, right? So that's what that title means. Let's go back to the chain settings and let's go back to the go to the colors. Okay, so this is what is used when you want to change the color or the font color of your screen. So right now I am using system color, that is why it is showing me black over the white. If I just disable it, it will show me the other way, right? That is white over the black, which is default for putty sessions, right? But if you want to change it, if you want to change the colors, you can do so. So if you see here, it has default foreground, bold foreground, background. So the background is what which is commonly get into use. So if you want to change the color to something like more pleasant to your eyes or something like that, you can just do that. So suppose if I want to make it little gray color, I'll just apply it so that it is something like this. So again, when you change the background color, you would probably need to change your uh, colors for the text too, which you can do from the same putty settings, right? So I'll change that back to the system color so that it is clearly visible for the demo session. Okay, so these are some very common putty options and tips and tricks which I have been using in my job myself, and I want to share on this video. So that was all for this video. Thank you for watching.